All right, I'm here at the lake today and I wanted to talk a little bit about Tiger Woods and specifically how his approach to golf can relate to our price action trading. The first thing I wanted to point out was just the insane practice habits that Tiger developed. And they actually started really early on. His parents, from basically the time he was born, decided that he was going to be a great golfer. So let me read you this quote. Beginning when Tiger was 2 years old, Earl made sure, and Earl is his dad, by the way, Earl made sure he spent 2 hours per day hitting golf balls. At an age when most toddlers were developing motor skills and feeling different textures by doing things like playing in sandboxes, Tiger was on a golf course with his father developing the habit of practice, practice, practice. And the note I said here was he's 2 years old with a more intense routine than most people 10 times older. And even myself, I don't even have a practice habit that's that intense. In 1987, whenever Tiger Woods was in elementary school, he entered 33 junior golf tournaments and he won every single one of them. And here's a direct quote from Tiger. He says, "There's no feeling I found that matches the feeling that I've beaten everybody," Tiger said. "Second place is first loser." And what that made me think of was, why settle to be a mediocre trader whenever you can be the best? Why not spend all the time you can to be the best? Make that the goal, because second place is first loser. Okay, so we're still pretty early on in Tiger's career, but he's dominating these junior league games. But here's a quote that says, "Yet when Tiger looked in the mirror, he saw himself as small and scrawny. He was convinced that he wasn't tough enough, so he turned to his father for help." And the note that I left here is that even the best have doubts. And that's something that I learned here, is that I have lots of doubts whenever I'm trading, and on this journey of trading, I've had doubts. And it was really helpful for me to read this and see that even the greats have doubts, so it's okay, that's just normal. So earlier I was talking about Tiger Woods' practice habits whenever he was 2 years old, and if you thought those were crazy, then they just got even crazier as he got older. In college, it says that Tiger often averaged more than 10 hours per day on the practice range, and Tiger was far more inclined to practice than to play a round of golf. This is exactly what I was talking about with Michael Jordan too, a couple weeks ago whenever I made that video on Michael Jordan, that he was far more inclined to spend time in practice, and he didn't even care so much about the games. It was more about the practice and creating those fundamentals. Here's Tiger talking directly. He said, "I like practicing better." And then later it says, "It would not be an exaggeration to say that Tiger spent more than 500 hours practicing during the summer months before his freshman year of college, not including the hundreds of additional hours he spent participating in tournaments. Extreme practice habits were neither new nor challenging for him." His dad then goes on to say, "The first thing I taught Tiger, aside from the love of the game of golf, was the love of practice," Earl said. When he was real small, people would ask him, "How did you get so good, Tiger?" And he would answer, "Practice, practice, practice." We need to just be spending as much time as we can with charts, not just trading, but practicing. It is so important to look at these old charts, look at the setups that worked, look at the ones that didn't, and then just go from there. So many people just trade and don't review their charts or don't look at old charts, and it's just so essential. There's an idea that was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell that every expert has spent at least 10,000 hours practicing their craft. The people at the top don't just work harder or even much harder than everyone else, Gladwell wrote. They work much harder. And so my question for you is, are you working much harder than the next guy on your trading? Because truthfully, only the top a few percent of traders ever make money and ever hit that consistency. So if you're not working much harder, then you're just gonna get creamed. The book then goes on to say that Tiger Woods had probably accumulated 10,000 hours playing and studying golf by the time he was 12. I mean, imagine that. I probably haven't spent 10,000 hours trading. I doubt you have either. We have such a long way to go. I was mentioning Michael Jordan earlier. Well, now it came up again. Tiger said directly, "I want to be the Michael Jordan of golf. I'd like to be the best ever." What I wrote here is that you need to have an insatiable desire to be the best, otherwise you won't even come close. There's a period of time whenever Tiger was playing in college and he hadn't quite hit the PGA Tour yet. He was playing a round of golf with a pro at the time, and he asked him for advice. And the advice that this pro gave him was to have fun. He told Tiger, "There's no rush to get to the tour." And what I wrote here is that we need to enjoy the trading journey. There's really no rush to get to the quote-unquote promised land. Just have to enjoy the journey of getting there. So what I'm trying to say there is that Tiger really cared about the game more than the results about the game. And that is such an important distinction. He just really wanted to get better at the game, loved to practice, and loved to study it. He didn't just look for the money and the fame. And just to drive that point home, There was once this little exhibition in his honor, and he slipped away from the meeting. All these people just telling him how great he is and how great he'd done. And he slipped away to the putting green where he practiced putting for 2 hours in silent solitude. Think about that. He could have just sat there and had these people just telling him, wow, you're so great. But he took that time to go and practice. I mean, like, are you practicing this hard? Seriously? I feel like I've just gone on and on about practice in this video, but here's just another quote, like just a couple pages later. It says, he spent more hours practicing than the rest of the team combined. That's how you get good. That's how, practice. In one of his key early tournaments, once he joined the PGA, one of the guys who was playing against him said that Tiger Woods was this golf machine and not really a golfer. It was just the two of us against this machine. And what I said is, this is how you have to be to compete at the top of your game, especially in something like trading. You just have to be a machine. You can't let emotions come in the way. You just have to execute your strategy. In trading, and I think really in any pursuit, belief really comes before success. So if you go into the trading day thinking you're going to lose, you're probably going to lose. I'm not even just talking about taking a losing trade. If you go into the trading day thinking you might break your rules, well, you're probably going to break your rules. In an interview with Tiger Woods, he was asked, what would make this a successful tournament for you? And Tiger answered, a victory. The interviewer then said, nothing less. And he answered, in my life, I've never gone to a tournament without thinking I could win. I've explained that to you guys before. That's just the mindset I have. So that's just the mindset that we have to have whenever we go into trading, thinking that we can win and winning by whatever our standards are. Not necessarily just taking a win, but following our rules and following our process, because that alone is a win. Later asked how he was going to win that tournament, Tiger said, I'm going to play it one shot at a time, and I'm going to have one hell of a good time. That's all you can do. Just focus on each individual trade. Don't think about the one that you took right before that. Don't think about the one that you took yesterday, last week. Just take it one trade at a time. Don't be thinking about the next trade. It's just each individual trade. Just focus on that trade at hand. Going back to that idea that the belief comes before the ability, Tiger said, I am the toughest golfer mentally. What I said here is, you are what you believe. So if you believe that you are the toughest trader, that you're going to follow your rules, then you will. So now at this point in the biography, Tiger is literally at the top of the heap. He is the best in the PGA, unquestionable. But still, he took time to improve his game. So I want to read this to you. But Tiger couldn't stop worrying about his swing. He went to Golf Channel headquarters in Orlando and watched the tapes of his performance at Augusta. He found more than a dozen things he wanted to change. The position of the club at the top of his swing. Aesthetically, it could be better. His short irons, he couldn't judge them particularly well. His movement off the ball, it was beautiful, but the club was across the target line, pointing well to the right of the spot he was aiming at. Plus, his club face was closed down. His list of grievances went on, God almighty, he thought. So what I left here is, even at this level, he's hungry to improve, and this is why he reached that point in the first place. Think about that. Think about, if you were a profitable trader, you're killing it, are you going to take the time to go back, watch your tapes, and see what you can do better? I think the answer for most people is no, but that's what you have to do to get better. And even whenever you are on the journey to get better, you have to do that. You have to go back and study your trades. Look at what you're doing right, look at what you're doing wrong, and then go back and fix it. Now, after watching these tapes, Tiger wanted to completely revamp his swing, not make subtle adjustments, but tear it apart and construct a new version from the ground up. How many people are going to do that? At the top of his game, he's winning. He is the best. How many people are going to go back and do that? Just completely tear it up because he knows he can be better. Now here, this is so important. You just have to have that internal scorecard. It's not about winning, it's about getting better and the journey of improvement. It says right here, beating other golfers or winning tournaments was never going to be enough for Tiger Woods. Even being ranked #1 in the world didn't bring satisfaction. Golf for him was always so much more than a game. Being profitable is not enough. Be the best trader you can be. Look to just improve. Again, it's about the process, not the profits, and just getting better is the goal in and of itself. Tiger said, I was in it to find the answer to one question: how good can I be? I suppose I was searching for perfection, although that's not attainable in golf except for short stretches. I mean, that is just trading 100 times over. We're never going to be perfect, but we can always be improving. And again, that's what's important. Just focus on improvement. Don't worry about perfection. Now back to Tiger Woods' practice habits here. A typical practice day for him entailed hitting 600 golf balls, working on his short game and putting, playing around, sometimes on his own, and working out in the gym for 2 to 3 hours. That was the life I wanted. You have to love practice more than anything. And you hear it right there. That's the life he wanted. He could do anything. He's rich at this point. He can go just F off and go live whatever he wants to do, but he wanted to play golf and he wanted to just continue to practice and get better. You have to love it. Now, a little comparison of Tiger Woods to Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway, who felt so compelled to write every day that he once remarked, "When I don't write, I feel like shit." Do you have that fire in your belly to improve, to practice, to put in the hours? It is so essential to get better at your craft. The craziest thing about whenever Tiger Woods took a step back to improve his swing was that while he was doing it, his performance actually went down. He started losing tournaments and people were questioning, is he the best? But he was still willing to do it because he knew he could be better. He didn't care about the short-term results. He was looking at the long term, and it's so important to look at that long term and just know how much better you can be and be willing to take a step back, to take 2 steps forward. When talking about changing his swing, he said, "I needed a swing that I could trust 100%. And he wanted the holy grail. And this was just such a gold mine for trading. I mean, just get that entry that you can trust 100%, work on it until it's not even a question for you. You just nail it every time. And again, of course, you're not going to nail it every time, but just to the point where it's not even a question in your mind. You know that you're going to take that trade and you know your probabilities. Now, whenever he was working on this swing, it took him 22 months to perfect it and get back to the top of his game. Imagine that, almost 2 straight years of him going from the very top down because he knows he can be better. How many people are willing to do this? That is so crazy to me. I just can't believe it. So now, after 2 years of not winning any tournaments, Tiger's back and he just won back-to-back tournaments. It says he'd been telling golf writers for the better part of 2 years that he was making changes to his game and that it was going to take time. He knew that people were saying Tiger's just making excuses. The steady drumbeat of stories about his being in a slump were eventually replaced by stories about Duval surpassing him. But now the back-to-back wins confirmed what he had told his coach. He felt unbeatable. He wasn't about to let anybody else know how good he felt. "I'm starting to understand how to play the game of golf a little bit better than I had before," Tiger said. And so I noted here incremental improvements, first off, but also think about all the people out there who just aren't going to understand the process of trading. Lots of people just don't understand, and I can't blame them for not understanding, but you just have to stick it out and just know that people, they're going to have their doubts, but you just have to just stick it out, improve incrementally, and then at the very end, you can show them what you've done. Now, going on and talking a little bit more about how he was just had this insatiable desire to improve. It says as far as he hits it, there's no reason for him to ever bother practicing his short game, but he has, and that's why he's winning. That's what it takes. You have to improve every single aspect of your game, even if you don't feel like you necessarily have to. Even if you're doing pretty well, those are the most important times for you to buckle down and improve. At one point, Tiger Woods was playing a game against his kind of nemesis at the time, Duval, and this is just an exhibition game, just something for TV. And here it says, Tiger, in his mind, there were no exhibition games. What I wrote here is that your sim performance, so your performance even with paper money, is the same as real. It has to just be all the same, because how you approach one thing is how you're going to approach everything. How you approach the sim is how you're going to approach real money, and those tendencies are going to carry over. Everything has to be just 100% on in your trading. You can't just be like taking off the wall trades with paper money and expecting that you're going to hop over to real money and then not carry those tendencies over, is kind of what I'm getting at there. Okay, through this whole entire book and through this whole entire video that I've talked about so far, the through line is just that Tiger Woods was great and he was still willing to put in the time to get better. So I'm going to end it here. I wish I could keep going. It's getting a little bit dark out here, but I'm going to end it here, and I have one last thing to tell you about. He had just won the Tour Championship here, and it says, then he did the only thing he knew how to do. He turned his focus to his golf game and how to improve it. He wondered how far could he go, and he told himself anything is possible. Just believe in yourself and know that you will get there, and I'll see you on the other side.